Thank you very much, Tikin. And right, okay, and this is now sort of the most important part of the evening. We've probably got around about half an hour or so to open things up to questions and discussion. And my opening question for both of you is, it's the same question that I'll put to both of you. If the crimes that you're talking about are taking place in the way that you're talking about, and they're taking place in a systematic way, as your research seems to have shown, why, in your view, hasn't the international community done more so far to either intervene in terms of putting peacekeepers on the ground, or putting sanctions against Burma, or sort of referring cases to the International Criminal Court? Do you want to take that first, maybe, Abed?
Sure. I think Tunkin might be more well versed on the regional politics, but there are a number of issues. So with the ICC, Myanmar isn't a signatory to the Rome Statute, so that means the ICC has no jurisdiction over anything that goes on there in terms of crimes against humanity. The only way they could, technically, is if the Security Council refers them to the ICC. The problem with that is you have the US and you have China, the China especially, who's going to veto any plans to try and refer them to the ICC. China sees this as their back door. They're not going to let anybody mess with it. The US also, Trump, despite certain comments he's made, he very much likes the current regime. He most probably won't push for them to be sent. In terms of peacekeepers, in principle, I wouldn't be against that, but again, when you've got a country as powerful as China pushing its way, it becomes very, very difficult to do anything.
So just to be really clear here, are you suggesting that the Chinese state is effectively kind of complicit in this, or that the Burmese government, the Burmese military, has the support, like implicit or explicit, of China?
In terms of complicit, again, like I said, in terms of regional politics, I will leave that to Tunkin to maybe elaborate a bit more. But the point is, that's their backyard. So we know that there are all the superpowers have their own regions of influence. The USA has its regions of influence. Russia, all of these big powers have. In terms of China, this is their backyard. Nobody just walks in to that region. You could try and force your way in, but then you're going to turn this into a conflict. So it's just something worth bearing in mind that China does have a lot of weight in that region.
I think when we talk about international community, that is important that they are much aware what is happening to Rohingya people. The thing is, they have in Rangoon, capital of Burma, former capital of Burma, or Naypyidaw currently, their embassies there. They have much better than us. They have information what is happening to Rohingya people. The thing what they are not calling genocide, they call it ethnic cleansing, is when they talk about genocide, is an obligation to take responsibility, to take action. So there is no willingness to stop this genocide. I have to be frank. And when you talk about China have investment in Rakhine State. There is a uranium in Rakhine State where Rohingya areas, and China has still invested, and China recently they are talking to Bangladesh and Burma. That agreement we welcome. Is a bilateral agreement, should be good. We have to support Rakhine State to develop, and businesses the developing is much more better. Where they have no peace, where these human rights violations, how can you develop when the people cannot have food, cannot go for a study, cannot get married, and cannot travel from one place to another? How you can develop that? It's totally nonsense, I think. So this is a kind of thing what China is talking about. Unfortunately, China is a strong ally for dictators for Burma for many decades. We have seen like since 1962, So when Burma was military dictator, they were isolated from international community. China was a strong ally. And the other big obstacle we have to look at Aung San Suu Kyi, who is Nobel Peace Prize winner, and I should say she is a part of this complicit of this genocide. Because people say she does not have any power. Some governments are telling she can't do anything. That is correct. Military is still in power in Burma anyhow. But she does not have power to stop this genocide, that is true. But she has power, we can see she has power to deny. She is telling that what's happened to these Rohingya women and Rohingya being slaughtered, and international credible organizations like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and other international human rights groups have well documented. She says it's not happened, it's fake news. And so she has power to deny these atrocities. So that's what I can say, she is totally complicit with in this genocide. So ASEAN is totally, they have a policy non-interference in internal issues.
This is ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So the thing is, I think there will be some stronger move maybe in a few weeks' time. I don't know, because last week UN Human Rights Commissioner Zayed has mentioned what's happened to, it might be genocide. So now December 12th, UN Security Council is meeting up again, because we have seen in the past few weeks we didn't see any stronger resolution from UN Security Council. So we have seen only presidential statement. Presidential statement was even, it took quite long. China was not agreeing to get it out. But still finally they have to agree because of, quite international pressure is quite enough. So maybe very near future something maybe stronger, but the problem is it's not enough. The thing is the people are dying every day. We want some protection immediately to our kind of state. That's what I can say.
Okay, alright, thanks. If anybody's got any questions at this stage, I was going to say, if you want to put your hands up and I'll sort of come around the room and take one or two. Yeah, okay, lady in the head.
It's exemplary the work that you're doing, obviously from the legal side, but as lay people, and how can we actually be part of any pressure groups or sign anything or support anything which can make the whole thing move a bit faster?
I think the important thing here is UK is the first government who raised in Security Council. So UK have quite a strong support to stop this, but not enough, I should say. But that is important, that if you can write to your MP what your MP is doing, raising the issue, and because we have I was given to Foreign Affairs Committee for 2 times, evidence what's happening to Rohingyas, and I spoke to Parliament, many MPs there, and also giving evidence of what's happened to the Rohingya people, and also what British government should do. British stop is good, they stop military training with Burmese military, but they should get more stronger way to stop, sanctions calling for and others to this military that's needed. So I think that would be good. if you can raise this issue with your MP, and if you can write to, I thought you were from lawyers group or?
Myself?
Yeah?
No.
Oh, sorry.
I think she was referring to the fact that both of you work sort of on the stage of the legal side.
Yeah, I think MP is the best way to raise the issue with MP.
That can still be done as an individual, but I'm talking about as a collective.
As a collective, I think it is good that if you can make more awareness with your community or other community with together, what's happening to the Rohingyas. And the thing is, we are looking at something, decision makers like MPs, and if your friend and your community, like for example, if you are in West London, if your friend is East London, if your friend is North London, if a community, I hope there is community everywhere here, so that a kind of group, a stronger way, if you raise to the MP, that gives a big difference. MP must raise the issue to the right, must write to the Prime Minister, Theresa May and Foreign Secretary, and so they should respond what they've been doing. Because the raising the issue is strong, but we have not seen a strong action taken, to do that anything. They say, oh, it takes time, we are trying this and that, and a lot of soft diplomacy going on. It doesn't work when people, a community facing genocide, I should say.
And Abed, I was going to say the same question for you.
Sure. Thank you. A couple of things. So I'm going to start by saying humanitarian aid, so if you can support charities. Normally, I come from a legalistic background, so I don't tend to suggest that, we tend to focus on legal frameworks, leave the big charities to deal with. They have their own advertising budget, they don't need me. But the reason why I say that is, I know Tunkin was saying, the Bangladesh government is doing fantastic, thank you, yada, yada, yada. But here's the reality. The Bangladesh government is really stretched for resources. Yes, the army that's been deployed is doing a fantastic job. Historically, I have a very negative view of the Bangladeshi government. Sorry, I should say I'm from Bangladesh originally, so that's where my family is from. So in terms of I have a lot of antagonism towards this army because they've been repeatedly used to silence people. But they're doing a fantastic job. But the country is stretched to its very limits. And here's the problem. If you go to Cox's Bazar, the people who live there, you're not going to be able to tell the difference between them and the refugees. Their socioeconomic backgrounds are pretty much the same. Their language and dialect is similar, but they're all living in similar huts. So even the refugees, the tents that they're living in, actually the locals live in that day to day anyway because that's how poor they are. So they're seeing all these sort of support being given to these refugees, nothing's been given to them. They get angry. Very quickly the refugees are going to outstay their welcome. It's a horrible thing to say. I spoke to loads of sort of aid workers and individuals who are involved in various levels of politics in that country, and it really saddened me to hear their responses. It wasn't that they were xenophobic or they hated these people. They recognized that these people are in need, but they also kept stressing, we don't have the capacity to help these people. So humanitarian aid is definitely important. Like Tonkin was saying, we need to keep this in the media. What happens with the Rohingya again and again and again is they get attacked, it gets forgotten, and then a whole period of time goes and it gets ramped up again. And we only seem to care when the violence is at its height, whereas we need to sustain this pressure. And I was speaking to Ben about this earlier, and I said, our organization is just as bad at this. We've been working on this. I saw our very first press alert on this issue was in 2005. But in between, there might be a year or two before we do the next thing. Actually, it needs to be sustained and continuous. Pressure needs to be put on certain governments. I know Tonkin said that China generally responds to international pressure. I don't necessarily agree with that. China is one of those countries, it just doesn't care. It does as it's pleased. But there are certain countries that pressure does need to be put on. Yes, the UK, yes, at a European level, right to your MP, right to your MEP. But pressure also needs to be put on countries like Bangladesh and Malaysia, for example, because they do have large numbers of refugees and they need to keep them. Yes, I appreciate these are poor countries. Yes, I appreciate their resources are stretched. but you push them back into that country, you're basically creating that opportunity for further mass murder. Turkey is another country that's worth putting pressure on if you find, like as groups, if you can find. Turkey's doing a lot of good aid work out there. Again, they're under their own sort of pressures, they may stop that aid work. So we need to sort of pressurize those countries. Because here's the thing again, you and I will give a few pounds here, but these countries can give millions. So we need to sort of keep that pressure on those countries to say you need to support in whatever way you can. The Security Council, it needs to be kept on in whatever way. So again, via the UK or whichever country, we need to keep putting the resolutions in there. Chances are, like I said, China is going to continuously veto. But so long as it's up there at an international level, it remains an issue. And that's the main thing. Those are some of the ideas I would say that we need to, as collectives, as organizations, try and do.
Just sort of follow up on some, sort of extend that a little bit. I mean, the contrast that I'm thinking of is very much that with the refugee crisis as it's been managed and manifest in Europe, we've seen vast numbers of people, and it's particularly highlighted in the news about 2 years ago, vast numbers of people coming to Europe from places like Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Sub-Saharan Africa. But the contrast is that Europe is a much richer continent, our countries here have got sort of greater resources,